What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Silicon Tech, and today I want to talk about the all-new M2 chip that Apple revealed at WWDC. Now, my previous videos in talking about the brand new M2 MacBook Air and the brand new M2 MacBook Pro 13-inch, I lightly touched on the M2 chip, but today we're going to take a deeper dive into it. Now, with any brand new chip reveal, Apple releases, certain figures about the chip, the improvements over certain operations, the improvements over the performance of the GPU and CPU cores, and just kind of all of that tech jargon. And of course, we're going to get into that. Now, I will say the M2 chip is of course different from the M1, but is based on the same architecture of the M1. So starting off with the CPU, it looks very similar. It features the same 8-core CPU design with the 4 high performance cores and 4 high efficiency cores, but it is 18% faster over the M1. Now, things get a little bit more different when it comes to the GPU, because with the M2, Apple is featuring up to 10 GPU cores, a 2 GPU core upgrade over the up to 8 GPU cores that was featured on the M1 chip. And as a result of that, the GPU is 35% faster over the M1 chip. Now, where things get really interesting to me is an improvement over the transistors. The M2 has 20 billion transistors, and that's up to 25% more transistors than the M1. And something that I've been appreciating more and more is the neural engine on Apple's chips that help you out with things like machine learning, so recognizing your speech, recognizing objects and pictures, and a lot of operations similar to those. And of course, it's improved with this M2 chip, and it is capable of running up to 15.8 trillion operations per second. So that's a big improvement and something that I would like to see basically improve daily operations. But the biggest improvement with these chips do not stop there, and that's because they feature a high performance media engine that is capable of both encoding and decoding ProRes video, 4K and 8K. And with these transcodes, you'll see a big improvement over the M1, which didn't have this type of media engine. Now, when it comes to RAM, you can get more of it on the M2, up to 24 gigabytes to be exact. And that's an 8 gigabyte improvement of the cap of 16 gigabytes on the M1. And not only do you get more RAM, you get higher quality RAM with a 100 gigabyte per second bandwidth from that RAM, and that's a 50% upgrade over the M1. Now, with this more RAM and higher quality RAM, you get a more powerful and fluid chip. So a lot of the operations you should be doing, whether it comes to daily tasks or heavier tasks such as video editing, should run smoother on this chip. And of course, Apple likes to state its improvements on certain operations from chip to chip, and you can see a 1.4 times improvement on video editing, a 1.2 times improvement on image filtering and processing, and a 1.3 times improvement with gaming. But the biggest improvement that you'll see from this chip is that ProRes video encode and decode coming in at 3 times faster. So to me, that's the real reason to get this chip. Now, this chip is currently featured in the M2 MacBook Pro 13-inch that came out last month, and will be later featured in the all-new redesigned M2 MacBook Air, which is coming out later this month. And overall, just looking at the figures having no real world experience with it, it looks like a modest upgrade over the M1, with the big outlier coming in with that ProRes video encode and transcode speeds. So it would be worth it if you're going to be using it for a lot of those ProRes things, but just looking at those figures, if you're not going to be doing a lot of that heavy workload and heavy lifting, the M1 chip is still a very good chip. So let me know what you think about the M2 chip in the comments. Like the video if you did, consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Thanks for watching the video. Be easy and peace.